I called my granddaughter on her 20th birthday. Happy birthday. Is the $1,000 I send every month enough? She replied in confusion. What? I've never received any money. I immediately called my son, and was stunned by his answer. Autumn in Columbus, Ohio was the most beautiful season for Dorothy Williams. She lived a quiet retired life in her small single-family home. After working as an elementary school teacher for 38 years, she had retired 2 years ago and finally had time for herself. Every morning, she would go out to her backyard and look at the maple tree that her late husband John had planted. Watching the red and yellow leaves dance in the wind, she would quietly reflect on memories with her husband. 5 years had passed since John died of a heart attack, but she had grown accustomed to living alone and actually enjoyed the peace. Dorothy's greatest joy was the time she spent with her son Thomas and his family. Thomas was an honest man who worked as a site supervisor for a local construction company. His wife Linda worked part-time at a nearby retail store 3 days a week. But most of all, what truly supported Dorothy's heart was her granddaughter Ashley. Ashley was a sophomore at the State University, majoring in psychology. She was an excellent student and had even earned a partial scholarship. With her long chestnut hair and big blue eyes, she looked exactly like Dorothy had in her younger days. Ashley loved her grandmother deeply, and even after starting college, she called regularly and sometimes visited Dorothy's house on weekends. Once a month, Thomas's family would gather at Dorothy's house for dinner. Linda was an excellent cook and always brought something special. Dorothy particularly treasured her relationship with her daughter-in-law. At first, Linda had been a bit nervous, but now she treated Dorothy with the warmth of a real daughter. "Thank you so much," Linda would always say, gently taking Dorothy's hand, "for accepting us as your real family." Dorothy would smile. "You're my precious daughter, and you're such a wonderful mother to Ashley." Thomas was busy with work and sometimes looked tired, but his love for his family was obvious. Like his father John, he was responsible and worked hard for his family. Dorothy was proud of her son's efforts. "Your son really turned out well," neighbors would often say. "Your granddaughter is so accomplished too. We're envious." Indeed, Dorothy was blessed. She was healthy, financially stable, and surrounded by a loving family. With her teacher's pension and retirement savings, she had enough to live comfortably. She had also carefully saved the life insurance money that John had left her. When Ashley's college admission was decided, Dorothy's heart filled with joy. "Grandma, I want to study psychology and someday work helping children," Ashley said with sparkling eyes. "What a wonderful goal." Dorothy hugged her granddaughter. "I know you'll become a fine adult." Linda also smiled proudly. "Ashley has grown into such a kind child. It's partly thanks to you, mother-in-law." At family gatherings, warm conversations always flowed. Thomas would talk about work, Linda would report on neighborhood happenings, and Ashley would share fun episodes from college life. Dorothy would listen quietly, wishing these happy times could last forever. Especially her relationship with Ashley was special. Can you imagine making $10,000 a month just from YouTube all from home? That's exactly what I did with Art It Stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you're curious. From childhood, Ashley had read picture books on Dorothy's lap, helped with baking, and planted flowers in the garden. Even now as a college student, Ashley valued her grandmother's opinions and came to her for life advice. "Grandma is my best supporter," Ashley would often say. "I can tell you anything that I can't tell Mom or Dad." For Dorothy, there could be no greater happiness. Though she grieved the loss of her husband, her son's family gave her life meaning and joy. Every day, she offered prayers of gratitude to God for her health, loving family, and peaceful days. 2 years had passed since Ashley started at the State University. At first, Dorothy had felt somewhat lonely about her granddaughter leaving home, but now watching her growth had become her greatest pleasure. The university was about an hour's drive away, and Ashley lived in the dormitory. Every Thursday night, Dorothy would call Ashley without fail. It was their special time together. Ashley's voice on the other end was always full of energy. "Grandma, this week I had a psychology practicum. I got to interact with children at a local elementary school, and it was so much fun." Ashley's voice was filled with excitement. "There was this shy boy who wouldn't talk to me at all at first, but by the end he was smiling." Dorothy listened with warm feelings. "That's wonderful. You have natural kindness. The children must have sensed that. Since you used to be an elementary school teacher, Grandma, I want to be like that too. I want to become an adult who can understand children's hearts." These conversations were Dorothy's most enjoyable time of the week. Ashley would talk not just about studies, but about relationships with friends and her future dreams. Sometimes there were even romantic consultations. "Actually, there's this boy named Michael in my psychology major. He's very serious and kind," Ashley said somewhat shyly. "Oh, how nice. But studies come first," Dorothy answered with a smile. "But I'm happy you've met someone good. Don't tell Mom. We're not actually dating yet." "Of course. Grandma's lips are sealed. Through these intimate conversations, Dorothy could feel that Ashley was growing up healthily. Her grades were excellent, and last year she had even won the Dean's Award. She continued to receive her scholarship, which reduced the financial burden. One afternoon, Linda visited Dorothy's house. She was alone, which was unusual. Unlike her usual bright expression, she seemed tired somehow. "Mother-in-law, I need to talk to you about something," Linda said while drinking tea in the kitchen. "What is it? Is something worrying you?" Dorothy asked gently. "Actually, it's about Ashley's college life. She's getting a scholarship, but it's not enough. There are dormitory fees, textbook costs, and food expenses." Linda showed a troubled expression. Dorothy was surprised. "Really? I heard from Thomas that things were financially okay. I don't want to worry my husband. The construction industry is in a recession, and his salary has been cut too. My part-time income is limited," Linda sighed. "But I don't want Ashley to give up her dreams." Dorothy's heart warmed. She could feel that Linda truly cared about Ashley. "You've been worrying about this so much. Why didn't you consult me sooner? You've always taken care of us, and I didn't want to burden you further." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "But Ashley sometimes can't participate when her friends go out. Going to movies, having coffee at cafes, even such small things." Dorothy made her decision immediately. "You don't need to hold back about such things. Ashley is my precious granddaughter. How much do you need?" "About $1,000 a month would probably let her live comfortably at college." "But such a large amount. $1,000 is no problem. I wish you had told me sooner." Dorothy stood up. "I have the savings that John left me. There's no better use for it than my granddaughter's education." Linda cried tears of gratitude. "Thank you so much. Thomas knows about this too, so please don't worry. Of course, we're family." Dorothy took Linda's hand. "Let's keep this a secret from Ashley. She's a proud child and might feel it's a burden." From that day on, Dorothy began transferring $1,000 every month to an account that Linda specified. Linda explained, "I created an account just for Ashley," and Dorothy agreed without suspicion. Several months passed, and Ashley's college life seemed increasingly fulfilling. Their phone conversations were as enjoyable as ever, and her grades remained excellent. Dorothy was convinced her decision had been correct. "Grandma, I've been going out with friends more lately. We go to cafes together and see movies," Ashley said happily. "That's wonderful. College friendships are treasures for life." Dorothy smiled with satisfaction. Thomas remained busy with work and often looked tired at family gatherings. Dorothy, concerned about her son, told him, "Don't worry about Ashley's college expenses," but Thomas was reluctant, saying, "I can't burden you, Mom. Linda consulted with me. We're family, so we help each other," Dorothy gently persuaded him. "Thank you, Mom. It really helps," Thomas answered with gratitude. Time passed, and Ashley's birthday was approaching. Dorothy prepared a special present and looked forward to calling with birthday wishes. Linda occasionally called with gratitude. "Every time she heard 'Thanks to you, Ashley can concentrate on her studies with peace of mind,' Dorothy felt warm inside. One day, her neighbor friend Martha visited. She was also a grandmother with grandchildren, like Dorothy. "You're really blessed," Martha said enviously. "Your son's wife is so kind, and your granddaughter is so accomplished." "I really am. I'm happy to be blessed with family," Dorothy answered from her heart. At that moment, Dorothy realized anew how much she trusted and loved her family. The monthly $1,000 meant more than just financial support. It was an expression of love and a way to deepen family bonds. On the November, Ashley's birthday arrived. Dorothy's heart had been light since morning. She wanted to convey her heartfelt birthday wishes. Around 3 in the afternoon, she sat in front of the old telephone in the living room and dialed Ashley's cell phone number. "Hello?" Ashley's bright voice came through. "Ashley, happy birthday," Dorothy said with joy. "Grandma, thank you," Ashley's voice mixed with laughter. "How's college life? Still busy as always?" "Yes, but it's fun. I have midterm exams next week, so I'm studying in the library now," Ashley answered energetically. Dorothy listened with warm feelings. How diligent, but taking breaks is important too. "Do you have time to play with friends?" "Yes, I sometimes go to cafes or see movies. But I'm careful not to spend too much money." A thought suddenly came to Dorothy's mind. The $1,000 she had been sending every month for 2 years. She wanted to confirm whether Ashley was able to live comfortably at college financially. "By the way, Ashley," Dorothy changed her tone slightly, "is the $1,000 I send every month enough? If you need anything, don't hesitate to tell me." Silence continued on the other end of the phone for a while. Dorothy gripped the receiver tighter. Ashley's voice was filled with confusion. "What are you talking about? Grandma, what money?" Dorothy's heart began to race. "The $1,000 I send every month to support your college life, since 2 years ago." "Grandma, I'm not receiving any such money." Ashley's voice held genuine confusion. "Really, I don't know what you're talking about. Dorothy's hands began to shake. But Linda told me. She said you needed money for college expenses, so she asked me to send $1,000 every month. Mom did? Ashley's voice rose. Grandma, I haven't heard anything like that from Mom, and I haven't received any money. I'm managing with my scholarship and part-time job money. Dorothy's world swayed. Where had the money she'd been transferring to Linda's specified account every month gone? Ashley, do you really not know? Dorothy's voice was shaking. It's true, Grandma. I don't know anything. Rather, I had no idea you were sending so much money. Ashley's voice also showed disturbance. Dorothy tried to take a deep breath, but it became difficult. I understand. I'll check with your father later. Grandma, are you okay? Your voice sounds strange, Ashley asked worriedly. I'm fine. It must be some misunderstanding. Happy birthday, Ashley. I'll contact you again. Dorothy hung up the phone with trembling hands. The silence of the living room enveloped her. Only the sound of the clock's hands echoed. Various questions swirled in her head. Had Linda lied? Or was Ashley hiding something? But there was no falsehood in Ashley's voice. Her granddaughter's confusion was genuine. Dorothy stood up and dialed her son Thomas's cell phone number. Mom? What's wrong? Thomas's voice came through. He seemed to be at a work site, with machinery sounds in the background. Thomas, can you talk now? Dorothy's voice had hardened. Wait a minute. After a while, he seemed to have moved to a quiet place, and the machinery sounds disappeared. What's wrong? Did something happen? Do you know that I've been sending Ashley $1,000 every month? What? Thomas's voice showed surprise. Mom sending money? What are you talking about? Dorothy's chest tightened. Linda asked me to send $1,000 every month for Ashley's college expenses since 2 years ago. I heard you approved of it too. What's that about? Thomas's voice became shrill. Mom, I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard such a story from Linda. Dorothy sank into her chair, but Linda said it. She said Thomas knows, so don't worry. Wait, Mom. She could hear Thomas calling for Linda on the other end. After several minutes of silence, Thomas's voice came again. This time it was trembling. Mom, Linda is here. Can you put her on? Before that, I want to ask, were you really sending $1,000 every month? Yes. For 2 years, without fail, Dorothy answered weakly. She could faintly hear Thomas and Linda talking on the other end of the phone. However, she couldn't make out the content. Eventually, Linda's voice came through, but completely different from her usual bright tone. Her voice was small and trembling. Linda, please explain. Ashley says she doesn't know anything about the money. A long silence continued. Dorothy held her breath and waited. I'm sorry, Linda's voice came through in fragments. I was lying. The blood drained from Dorothy's body. Lying? What do you mean? I didn't give Ashley a single dollar. The money, Linda's voice became tearful. I used it myself. What did you use it for? Dorothy's voice became ice cold. Silence again. Then she could hear Thomas interrogating someone on the other end. Linda's crying voice was also mixed in. Eventually, Thomas returned to the phone. His voice was filled with anger and sadness. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Thomas said in a trembling voice. Linda confessed. The money Linda was with another man. Dorothy was speechless. The strength left her hand holding the receiver. I really didn't know anything. I had no idea Linda was doing such things. Thomas's voice broke off. Behind my back, tears overflowed from Dorothy's eyes. The family bonds she had believed in shattered in an instant. The reality that the money she had sent with love had been used for betrayal deeply wounded her heart. Thomas, Dorothy said in a hoarse voice, let's end the conversation here for today. I want to be alone for a while. Mom, I'm really sorry. If I had been more careful, it's not your fault, Dorothy said, summoning her strength. I'll contact you again. After hanging up, Dorothy sank deep into the living room sofa. The weight of 2 years of betrayal pressed heavily on her heart. That night, Dorothy couldn't sleep. Sitting on the living room sofa, gazing at the streetlights outside, she reflected on the events of the past 2 years. Linda's tearful voice, Thomas's shocked voice, and most of all, Ashley's confused voice repeatedly echoed in her head. The next morning, around 8 o'clock, Thomas called. Having talked all night, his voice sounded exhausted. Mom, sorry about last night. I talked with Linda. I'll tell you everything. So can I come over now? Yes, please come, Dorothy answered quietly. An hour later, Thomas came to Dorothy's house alone. He wasn't wearing his usual work clothes but a wrinkled shirt. His eyes were red, clearly having not slept all night. Mom, please sit and listen. Thomas sat down on the living room sofa. Linda confessed everything. Dorothy sat in the chair across from him and waited for her son's words. 2 years ago, Linda met a man at work, Thomas began painfully. A sporting goods store manager named David Lee. Dorothy listened silently. At first he was apparently a customer who came to the store. But as he came repeatedly, They became close. Thomas clenched his fists. Linda was dissatisfied that I was busy with work and neglecting the family. So she started an affair, Dorothy said calmly. Yes, but that man was a big spender, expensive restaurant meals, weekend trips, brand name presents. Linda's part-time wages weren't nearly enough. Anger mixed into Thomas's voice. Dorothy's chest ached. So she thought of using me. That's right. She knew that if it was for Ashley's college expenses, you would gladly provide it. Linda took advantage of your love for your granddaughter. Thomas stood up and faced the window. I really didn't know anything. Linda did mention that mother-in-law is worried about Ashley, but I never imagined she was receiving financial support. Linda said you knew too. Dorothy reflected. That was also a lie. She used my name to reassure you. Thomas turned back to look at his mother. Mom, I'm really sorry. If I had paid more attention to the family. I'm not blaming you, Dorothy said gently. But how did she hide such a large amount of money? Thomas sat back down. Linda said it was an account just for Ashley, but actually she had created a personal account in her own name. I left household management to Linda, so I didn't know about that account's existence either. Dorothy shook her head. It was planned, yes. The man David also apparently knew Linda had money. The two of them stayed at luxury hotels and took trips. While I was away at work, Thomas's voice shook. Where is Linda now? She went back to her parents' house. Last night, after she told me everything, I told her to get out of the house. Thomas showed an exhausted expression. I've decided to divorce her. Dorothy supported her son's decision but at the same time felt sad about the family's collapse. Have you told Ashley? Not yet. But I have to tell her. Ashley was deceived too. Thomas sighed deeply. Just then, the front doorbell rang. Thomas got up and went to the entrance, where Ashley was standing. She seemed to have rushed from the university, out of breath. Dad, where's Mom? She hasn't answered her phone since last night, and she's not at home, Ashley said worriedly. Ashley, come in, Dorothy called out. When the three gathered in the living room, Thomas explained everything to his daughter. Ashley was first confused, then angry, and finally showed deep sadness. Mom was deceiving Grandma? Tears welled up in Ashley's eyes. Using my name? Yes. She took advantage of your grandmother's love for you. Thomas hugged his daughter. Ashley turned toward Dorothy. Grandma, I'm really sorry. I didn't know anything. You have nothing to apologize for. Dorothy took her granddaughter's hand. You're a victim too. But because of what Mom did, Grandma suffered so much. Ashley began to cry. For the next several hours, the three talked. As the details of Linda's betrayal became clear, its calculated and malicious nature was revealed. Every month, Linda would receive the $1,000 from Dorothy and immediately use it for expenses with David. It was spent on expensive restaurant meals, weekend trips, brand name items, and cosmetics. While I was working late overtime, Linda was spending luxurious time with another man. Thomas pounded his fist on the table. Using Mom's goodwill, Ashley said in a trembling voice. I despise Mom for trampling on Grandma's love. What is Linda doing now? Dorothy asked. She seems to have gone to David's place. But he was apparently only after money too. While Linda had money, he was kind, but when this was discovered and he realized no more money would come in, Thomas showed a bitter smile. He's already become unreachable, according to Linda's sister. Dorothy had mixed feelings. She felt anger and sadness, and at the same time pity for Linda. In the end, Linda lost everything. She brought it on herself, Thomas said coldly. Mom's trust, her marriage to me, her relationship with Ashley, and she was abandoned by the money-seeking man too. Ashley stood up. Grandma, I'll increase my part-time work and pay back the money little by little. You don't need to do that, Dorothy said gently. You focus on your studies. You and Thomas, and me, the real family is here. That's what matters most. Dorothy looked around at the two. She had indeed lost a large sum of money and been betrayed by a family member she trusted. But the people who were truly important were still here. Her son's honesty, her granddaughter's purity, and the true love between them could not be damaged by Linda's betrayal. That night, the three had dinner together. The conversation was heavy, but they could feel the warmth of a family supporting each other. A year later, Dorothy was tending flowers in her garden. New buds were swelling on the rosebush that her late husband John had planted. The events that occurred last autumn seemed like a bad dream, but the days since then had certainly deepened the bonds between Dorothy and her family. Thomas and Linda's divorce was finalized 6 months ago. Linda was abandoned by her affair partner David and was now living alone in a rural town in her hometown, according to rumors. Dorothy had let go of her anger toward her. She had realized that continuing to harbor hatred would only hurt herself. Grandma, I'm here. Ashley's bright voice rang out in the garden. Looking back, Ashley was waving with a smile. She had started visiting Dorothy's house every weekend without fail. Their time together had become even more precious than before. Ashley, good work. How was the exam? Perfect. My psychology practicum report got high marks too, Ashley said proudly. I'm making good preparations for next year's job hunting. Dorothy was genuinely pleased. After that incident, Ashley had actually become more focused on her studies than before. The sense of responsibility that I must be strong had made her grow even more. Oh, I have good news. Ashley's eyes sparkled. I'm getting a full scholarship for graduate school through a dean's recommendation. Full tuition waiver. Wonderful. Dorothy hugged her granddaughter. It's the result of your hard work. It's thanks to you too, Grandma. After that incident, I learned what's really important. While preparing tea in the kitchen, Ashley talked about recent developments. Her relationships with university friends were good, and she was continuing to date Michael smoothly. How's your father? Dorothy asked. He's working hard, but he seems a little lonely. Ashley looked out the window. Sometimes I think he's thinking about Mom. After the divorce, Thomas had become more family-oriented. He worked less overtime than before and always made time to spend weekends with Dorothy and Ashley. Approaching 40, he was reconsidering his life priorities. In the evening, Thomas joined them and the three had dinner together. The conversation was natural and warm, without the forced brightness of before. Mom, I actually have something to discuss, Thomas said after finishing dinner. There's talk of a promotion at work, and my salary is expected to increase. That's good news, Dorothy smiled. So I want to pay you back, little by little. That's not necessary. Dorothy shook her head. That money was given out of my love for you all. Even though I was deceived, that feeling was genuine. Ashley raised her hand. I'm going to start a part-time job soon too, so let me help a little. I appreciate your feelings. Dorothy looked at both of them. But you've learned this past year that there are things more important than money, haven't you? That was certainly true. The money lost through Linda's betrayal was a painful loss, but they had gained even more. True family bonds, trust in each other, and the strength to overcome difficulties. But Grandma, Ashley became serious. We support each other. That's what family is, right? Not just about money, but emotionally too. Dorothy felt her granddaughter's growth. Ashley now had the thinking of a mature adult. I understand. But don't overdo it. That night, the three relaxed in the living room watching TV. Dorothy thought that if not for that phone call a year ago, she might never have learned the truth. And she might not have understood the true value of family. The betrayal was painful, but it also gave valuable lessons.